The sky burned red that Tuesday morning. Dr. Jiwoo Kim had been driving to work when the radio cut out. Then came the sound, a deep rumble that shook the road beneath her car. She pulled over just in time to see the object tear through the clouds. It wasn't a meteor. Its path changed twice before it crashed into the rice fields 10 miles outside Seoul. Jiwoo gripped her steering wheel, her heart racing. As head of South Korea's top research team on possible alien life, she had prepared for this day. But not like this. Not with fire and smoke filling the sky. She called her boss. "I saw it," she said. "I'm going there now." "The military is already on the way," he warned. "Be careful, Jiwoo." By the time she reached the crash site, army trucks had formed a ring around the object. It was bigger than she expected, about the size of a small apartment building. Its surface wasn't metal, but something that looked like dark glass with veins of light pulsing beneath. Colonel Hyuk Park met her at the roadblock. "Dr. Kim," he said with a nod. His face was tight with worry. "We need your help. This thing is, well, you should see for yourself." Hyuk handed her a protective suit. "Put this on. We don't know what might be in the air around that thing." As they approached the crash site, Jiwoo saw that part of the object, the ship, had cracked open. The break wasn't clean like from the crash. It looked like the ship had opened itself. "It did that 20 minutes ago," Hyuk said. "Then we saw them." Soldiers stood with guns ready, pointing at 3 figures lying on the ground near the opening. They weren't moving much. Jiwoo's breath caught in her throat. The beings were about the size of humans, but their skin was almost see-through. She could make out organs pulsing inside their bodies. Each had 7 eyes arranged in a circle on what seemed to be their faces. Their limbs were long and jointed, in strange places. "Are they dead?" she asked. "No," Hyuk said. "But they're hurt. Our scans show they're giving off heat and some kind of radiation we can't identify." Jiwoo moved closer, ignoring Hyuk's warning hand on her arm. "Dr. Kim, stay back. We found weapons on their ship, big ones. And these things—" He pointed to what looked like living metal fused to the alien's arms. "We think they're weapons, too." Jiwoo shook her head. "They're dying, Colonel." The nearest alien turned its face toward her. 6 of its eyes were closed, but one, the largest, focused on her. Its skin had torn open across what might be its chest. A thick silver liquid dripped out. "We need to help them," Jiwoo said. "Help them?" Hyuk almost shouted. "Dr. Kim, all evidence points to this being an advanced team for something bigger. The weapons systems on that ship were active when it crashed. They were scanning our defenses. They didn't come in peace." "Maybe not," Jiwoo agreed, kneeling beside the wounded alien. "But they're hurt now, and they're alive. We need to understand them." The alien made a sound, like water running over stones. "Their ship has data we need to study," Jiwoo continued. "If there are more coming, these 3 might be our only chance to prepare." She looked up at Hyuk. "And Colonel, if we let them die, what does that say about us? What kind of first impression would that make?" Hyuk frowned, but then spoke into his radio. "Get the medical team here and call Dr. Kang." He looked at Jiwoo. "You win, Doctor. But they stay under guard at all times." Within an hour, the aliens were moved to a temporary field hospital set up near the crash site. Dr. Do-Hyun Kang arrived shortly after, looking both excited and terrified. "When they told me, I thought it was a joke," he said as he put on surgical gloves. "Aliens? Really?" "Really," Jiwoo confirmed, pointing to the 3 beings now lying on separate beds surrounded by confused medical staff. "And they need help." Do-Hyun's face became serious as he examined the wounded visitors. "Their biology, I've never seen anything like it. But there are patterns I recognize, some basic principles seem universal." The most injured alien, the one that had looked at Jiwoo, was failing fast. Its breathing came in short bursts and the silver fluid continued to leak despite the bandages the medical team had applied. "This one needs surgery," Do-Hyun decided. "The fluid seems to be their blood, they're bleeding out." "Can you help?" Jiwoo asked. Do-Hyun looked uncertain. "I can try, but their organs aren't like ours. I'd be guessing." Guess then, she urged. It's dying anyway. As Do-hyun prepared to operate, a young intelligence officer named Mina Choi burst into the tent. Dr. Kim, you need to see this, she said, holding a tablet. We found a star map in their ship, and look. She pointed to a string of light moving toward a blue dot. We think that's Earth. And this? Her finger moved to a cluster of dots approaching the blue one. This looks like more ships. Many more. Ji-woo felt cold fear spread through her chest. How long do we have? Based on the data? 8 months, maybe less. From the operating table, Do-hyun called out, I need help here. Its body is rejecting our tools. Ji-woo rushed to his side. The alien was convulsing, its skin darkening where metal instruments touched it. Our tools are poisoning it, Do-hyun realized. The metal is causing some kind of reaction. Ji-woo thought fast. Try plastic or ceramic. With new tools, Do-hyun worked to close the wound. The alien's largest eye remained open, watching them work. I think it understands we're trying to help, Ji-woo said quietly. Hours passed. One by one, the alien stabilized. As night fell, Ji-woo sat next to the bed of the first alien, making notes about its vital signs. Hyuk entered the tent, his face grim. Intelligence has confirmed it. There's a fleet coming and it's not small. These 3 were sent to study us before the others arrive. He looked at the alien Ji-woo was monitoring. They came to kill us, Doctor. Ji-woo nodded slowly. Maybe that's what they were sent to do. But that doesn't mean it's what they'll choose to do now. As if responding to her words, the alien raised a 3-fingered hand and placed it on the bandage Ji-woo had applied earlier. Then it touched its own face in what seemed like a gesture of thanks. Did you see that? Ji-woo whispered. Hyuk's stern expression softened slightly. I saw. But one grateful patient doesn't change the fact that we have less than a year to prepare for an invasion. Then we better work fast, Ji-woo said, determination in her voice. Because I think our best chance isn't to fight them. It's to understand them. She looked at the alien, whose 7 eyes now all focused on her face. And maybe, just maybe, to help them understand us too. In that moment, something passed between human and alien, a first thread of connection spanning the gulf between worlds. Either knew it then, but that simple bond would grow to change the fate of 2 species forever. The healing 2 weeks passed since the aliens crashed on Earth. The temporary field hospital had been replaced by a secure facility built around the crash site. High walls and guards kept curious people and news reporters away. Inside, Ji-woo and Do-hyun worked day and night to understand their visitors. The aliens had been moved to special rooms designed to match the atmosphere of their ship. The silvery blood that flowed through their bodies needed more oxygen than humans did. Look at this, Do-hyun said one morning, pointing to a screen showing cells from the alien he had operated on. Their cells can actually join with ours. It's like nothing I've ever seen. Ji-woo leaned closer. That shouldn't be possible. We evolved on different planets. Maybe life follows certain rules no matter where it forms, Do-hyun suggested. Or maybe we're more connected than we thought. The aliens were recovering slowly. The one Do-hyun had saved seemed to be their leader. Ji-woo had started calling this Won-yoon in her notes. The second alien who had suffered burns she named Tai. The third smallest one became Suk. Mina visited every day to share new information from the ship's computers. We've translated more of their navigation data, she reported. The fleet is definitely coming, 7 months and 3 weeks until they reach Earth. Hyuk, who now led security for the facility, remained suspicious. Have they said anything about why they came? The aliens couldn't speak like humans. Their mouths were different, more like holes that opened and closed to breathe. But Ji-woo had discovered they made chemical signals through their skin. We're learning to communicate, she explained. They release different chemicals for different ideas. We've built a machine that can detect these signals. That afternoon, Ji-woo sat with Yoon. The alien was much stronger now. All 7 eyes followed her as she set up the communication device. Can you understand me? Ji-woo asked. The machine beside her detected chemicals in the air and translated. Understand. Yes. Why did you come to Earth? There was a pause. Then, sent study, prepare. Prepare for what? Others come. Many. Why? What do they want? Yoon's skin rippled, a sign of discomfort Jiwoo had noticed before. Told humans dangerous. Told humans destroy harmony. Who told you this? Elders. Speak for gods. Jiwoo frowned. But you see now that's not true, right? We helped you. Yes. Not understand why. Should kill enemies. We don't see you as enemies, Jiwoo explained. We want to learn from you. In another room, Tae was getting worse. The burns weren't healing, and the alien had stopped eating. Its system is shutting down, Do-hyun told Jiwoo that evening. Our treatments aren't working anymore. What about your research on cell joining? Jiwoo asked. Could that help? Do-hyun looked uncertain. Maybe, but it would require human tissue, blood, maybe stem cells. It could be dangerous for both the donor and Tae. Use mine, Jiwoo offered immediately. No, Do-hyun said firmly. You're too valuable to the project. If something goes wrong, he took a deep breath. I'll do it. The procedure was risky. Do-hyun drew his own blood and processed it to isolate specific cells. Then he created a treatment that might help Tae's body heal itself. This goes against every medical rule, he admitted as he prepared to inject the mixture. Human cells in an alien body. Jiwoo stood beside him. Sometimes new problems need new solutions. They worked through the night. At first, Tae seemed to get worse. The alien's skin turned dark where the treatment entered its body. It's rejecting it, Do-hyun said, disappointment in his voice. But by morning, something remarkable happened. The darkness began to fade. New, healthy tissue formed where the burns had been. Tae's 7 eyes opened one by one. It's working, Jiwoo exclaimed. The cells are integrating. Tests confirmed something extraordinary. Tae now carried human DNA, mixed with its own. A bridge had formed between species that evolved worlds apart. When Yoon learned what had happened, the alien leader released a new chemical signal. Det. Remember, as weeks passed, the aliens grew stronger. They began to help the research team understand their technology and biology. Yoon especially seemed eager to communicate. One day, as Jiwoo checked Yoon's healing wounds, the alien sent a complex message. See different now. Elders wrong. Humans, not destroy. Humans create, not kill, heal. Not all humans are the same, Jiwoo explained. Some might hurt you, but many want peace. Fleet comes still. Cannot stop. Orders given. Is there any way to communicate with them? Jiwoo asked. To show them what happened here? Yoon's skin changed color, a sign of deep thinking. Maybe. We send signals, special signals others hear. This information excited the research team. If they could send a message to the approaching fleet, perhaps they could prevent war before it started. Mina suggested, we could use their own communication system to broadcast what happened here. Would the fleet listen? Hyuk asked. Yoon must obey elders. But if see truth, Do-hyun had another idea. His work with Tae had led to new discoveries. The treatment that saved Tae changed more than just its body. Its brain patterns are different, too. More independent. Could we use that? Jiwoo wondered. If the fleet saw how we helped you and received something like Tae's treatment, Yoon released a signal that the machine translated as freedom. Possible. For the first time since the crash, hope seemed real. They might have found a way to turn enemies into allies, not through weapons, but through healing. As Jiwoo explained their plan to government officials, Hyuk pulled her aside. I was wrong about them, he admitted. When they crashed, I saw only a threat. Most people would have, Jiwoo assured him. Not you. You saw patients who needed help. Hyuk looked through the glass wall to where the 3 aliens were working, with Do-hyun. That might save us all. 4 months had passed since the crash. Earth's nations were building defenses, but their real hope rested on what happened in this facility. Jiwoo watched as Suk, the smallest alien, helped engineers modify Earth satellites to send signals that the fleet would recognize. The aliens who came to study Earth's weaknesses now worked to save it. And humans who once feared the unknown now fought to protect visitors from the stars. In Tae's blood, human and alien cells lived together, a small miracle that might lead to a much larger one. If they could show the coming fleet that both species could not just coexist but become something greater together, there might be no need for war. 4 months until they arrive, Mina reminded them. Will we be ready? Jiwoo looked at Yoon, who was examining a model of Earth's solar system. We'll be ready, she said, but not in the way anyone expected. 6 months had passed since the aliens crashed on Earth. The world had changed in that time. News of the coming fleet had spread first to governments, then to the public. Some people panicked, others prepared. But in the research facility outside, Seoul, a small team worked on a different kind of defense. Jiwoo sat at her desk, studying new data from the long-range sensors. The screens showed distant points of light moving through space, the Vish fleet. That's what Yoon called his people, the Vish. They're passing Jupiter now, Mina said, pointing to the screen. 2 months until they reach Earth. Jiwoo nodded, feeling the weight of time pressing down on her. 2 months to save humanity. Yoon entered the room. The alien moved more easily now, having adapted to Earth's gravity. A device attached to his throat helped him speak in a rough mechanical voice instead of using chemical signals. The signal transmitter is ready, he said. His 7 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of satisfaction Jiwoo had come to recognize. Over the past months, Yoon had taught them much about the Vish. They were an old species that had explored space for thousands of years, but they were not free. The elders controlled every aspect of Vish life, claiming to speak for gods that demanded obedience. The elders fear change, Yoon explained one day. They keep us the same for many generations. Why? Jiwoo had asked. Control, was Yoon's simple answer. Easier to rule those who cannot think new thoughts. This was why Do-hyun's treatment had changed more than just Tae's body. The human DNA had somehow freed the alien's mind from old patterns. Now all 3 aliens could think in ways their leaders had never allowed. In another part of the facility, Do-hyun worked with Tae to perfect the treatment. They called it the bridge formula. It would be their secret weapon against the fleet, not to kill, but to free. We've improved it, Do-hyun told Jiwoo when she visited his lab. Now it can spread through air. The Vish absorb chemicals through their skin. If we can get this aboard their ships, they might begin to question their orders, Jiwoo finished. Yuk, who now worked closely with Suk on defense plans, remained cautious. What if it doesn't work? What if they attack anyway? Then we fight, Jiwoo said simply. But first we try to prevent the war. The plan was coming together. Earth's nations had united, setting aside old fights to face the new threat. Satellites had been modified to send Vish signals. Suk had designed a broadcast that would reach every ship in the fleet at once, and special missiles, not carrying bombs but the bridge formula, were ready to launch if the ships came too close. One night, as the team worked late, alarms suddenly blared through the facility. What's happening? Jiwoo asked, rushing to the control room. A ship, Mina said, her voice tight with fear. A single Vish ship has jumped ahead of the fleet. It will reach Earth in hours, not weeks. Yoon's skin changed color rapidly, a sign of distress. Scout ship, fast, comes to check our defenses. Do they know you're alive? Hyuk asked. No, think we died in crash. Jiwoo thought quickly. This could be our chance to test the plan before the main fleet arrives. Or it could alert them to what we're doing, Hyuk warned. We must try, Yoon insisted. One ship easier than many. They prepared through the night. The scout ship would pass close to the moon before approaching Earth. That's where they would make contact. Jiwoo, Do-hyun, and Yoon gathered in the transmission room. Suk operated the signal equipment. Tay stood ready with the modified formula. Hayuk watched from the control station, ready to activate Earth's defenses if needed. The ship is slowing near the moon, Mina reported. They're scanning us. Now, Jiwoo said. Suk activated the transmitter. Hyun stepped forward and spoke in his native language, a series of clicks and whistles that the machine translated to signals the ship would understand. On the screens, they watched the Vish ship pause. Then a response came, angry, demanding, to know who was sending Vish signals from Earth. Tell them who you are, Jiwoo urged Yoon. Show them you survived. Yoon sent his identity code, proof he was the leader of the crash team. The ship went silent for several minutes. They're confused, Yoon explained, checking with Fleet Command. Finally, the ship responded. They demanded Yoon report in person. They would send a small craft to the crash site. It's a trap, Hayuk warned. They want to find out what happened to you. Yes, Yoon agreed, but also chance to show truth. The team rushed to prepare. As the small Vish craft descended toward the facility, Do-hyun prepared doses of the bridge formula. Remember, he told Yoon, they must breathe this in. Their masks. We'll filter it out. We'll find way, Yoon promised. Hyuk positioned soldiers around the landing area, hidden but ready. If anything goes wrong, Jiwoo touched his arm. It won't. Trust in what we've built here. The craft landed with a soft hum. Its door opened and 3 Vish soldiers stepped out. They were taller than Yoon, with full battle armor that covered their transparent skin. Weapons grew from their arms, living. Metal fused to flesh. Yoon walked forward alone. The soldiers raised their weapons, then stopped in shock when they recognized him. Commander Yoon, one of them said in the Vish language. You live. How? Humans saved me, Yoon replied. Saved all of us. The soldiers looked at each other in confusion. This was not what they had been told about humans. The elders said humans are beasts, the lead soldier stated. Said they would kill you if you survived crash. Elders wrong, Yoon said simply. Come see. The soldiers hesitated. Their orders were to capture any survivors and destroy the crash site. But Yoon was their former commander. Respect battled with obedience in their posture. Finally, the lead soldier nodded. They would see for themselves. As they entered the facility, Tae activated hidden vents that released the formula into the air. The soldiers didn't notice, their attention fixed on the human-Vish cooperation they never expected to see. Jiwoo stepped forward. Welcome to Earth, she said as Yoon translated. The soldiers stared at her, then at the screens showing their approaching fleet. Slowly, they removed their helmets to better see this impossible place where enemies work together. The formula entered their bodies with each breath. Soon, they would begin to question. Soon, they would begin to think for themselves. The storm was still coming. But now they had a bridge across it, built not of metal and machines but of healing and understanding. Show them everything, Jiwoo told Yoon. Let them see what we've built together. As Yoon led the confused soldiers deeper into the facility, Jiwoo looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, a fleet approached with destruction on its mind. But in this building, the first drops of rain before the storm were turning from acid to sweet water. The real test was yet to come. The scout ship became Earth's unexpected ally. After 3 days of learning the truth, the Vish soldiers decided to help. Their ship now orbited Earth, ready to send messages to the approaching fleet. 1 month until the main fleet arrives, Mina announced during the morning briefing. The scout ship confirms they have over 200 vessels. Jiwoo looked at the faces around the table, human and Vish working together. The 3 soldiers from the scout ship sat beside Yoon, Tae, and Suk. Their names were Ran, Jin, and Do. The fleet will not listen easily, Ran warned. They follow orders from High Elder Khan without question. Tell us about Khan, Hyuk asked. As head of Earth's defense forces, he needed to understand their enemy. Oldest of the elders, Jin explained, has ruled for 300 years, never leaves command ship. How is that possible? Do-hyun asked. To live so long? The Vish looked at each other uncomfortably. Finally, Du spoke. Kayan takes life from others. Young Vish give blood so elders live longer. Jiwoo felt sick. They sacrifice their own people? Not sacrifice, Yoon clarified. Highest honor, chosen ones feel proud to serve gods. But they're not gods, Jiwoo said. Just old leaders who want to stay in power. We know this now, Ran agreed. The formula opened our eyes, but others still believe. Their plan was dangerous but simple. When the fleet entered Earth's solar system, they would broadcast 3 things at once. A message from Yoon explaining what really happened after the crash. Memories from the Vish soldiers showing humans healing instead of killing. And the airborne version of the bridge formula, transmitted on frequencies that Vish ships would absorb through their air systems. Will it work? Jiwoo asked Do-hyun privately after the meeting. The formula should spread through their ships within hours, he said, but I can't predict how quickly it will affect their minds. Some may resist longer than others. And if it fails? Do-hyun's face was grim. Then Earth fights as best it can. The days passed too quickly. Nations around the world prepared for possible attack. Space weapons were aimed at the coming fleet. Bunkers were made ready for civilians. Everyone hoped the plan would work, but no one counted on it. Then came the day they had prepared for. Early morning alarms woke Jiwoo from a brief sleep at her desk. They're here, Mina said, rushing into the office. The fleet has arrived at the edge of our solar system. On the main screen, hundreds of ships appeared like new stars in the sky. Much larger than the scout ship, they moved in perfect formation toward Earth. All stations report ready, Hyuk announced. Satellite network is online. Yoon and the other Vish gathered at the transmission center. They had recorded their messages, truth that their people had never heard before. Fleet is hailing the scout ship, Mina reported. They're asking why it hasn't returned to formation. Ran answered from the scout ship in orbit. We make first contact as planned. The next hours were tense. The fleet slowed as it passed Mars, suspicious of the scout ship's delayed report. Then a single message came from the largest vessel at the center of the fleet. High Elder Khan demands all information about Earth defenses, Mina translated. The scout ship has 1 hour to respond or will be considered contaminated. Now, Jiwoo said. We can't wait any longer. Hyuk nodded. Begin transmission. Suk activated the global satellite network. Yoon's voice, clear and strong, broadcast to every Vish ship. I am Commander Yoon of the advance team. We live. Humans saved us when we crashed. What we were told about them was wrong. Next came the memories. Images captured from the minds of Yoon, Tai, Suk, and the scout ship soldiers. Jiwoo bandaging wounds. Do-hyun operating to save Tai's life. Humans working alongside Vish despite knowing an invasion was coming. And with these sights and sounds went the formula, carried on waves that the Vish ships would absorb and distribute through their air systems. Fleet has stopped moving, Mina reported. No response yet. Minutes passed. Then an angry transmission burst from the command ship. High Elder Khan himself appeared on screen. Ancient, with skin so transparent they could see his shrunken organs. His voice rasped with fury. Lies! Deception! The humans have corrupted our advance team. Khan's 7 eyes burned with hatred. All ships begin attack. Burn their cities. Show no mercy to these beasts who have poisoned our kind. They're moving again, Hyuk warned. Entering attack formation. The formula hasn't had time to work, Do-hyun said, his voice tight with worry. Jiwoo watched the screen as the fleet spread out, weapons powering up. Had they failed? Would Earth burn because they chose healing over fighting? Then something unexpected happened. A ship near the edge of the fleet broke formation. Then another. And another. What's happening? Hyuk asked, looking at Yoon's skin, rippled with emotion. They question. Begin to think for themselves. On the command channel, voices of Vish ship captains could be heard arguing with each other and with Elder Khan. Why attack those who heal? I will not fire on a world that saved our scouts. The elders have lied to us, High Elder Khan screamed orders, demanding obedience. But with each passing minute, more ships moved out of attack position. The formula is working faster than we expected, Do-hyun realized. Their shared mind link is spreading it from ship to ship. Khan's fury grew as he watched his fleet disobey. Any ship showing signs of contamination will be destroyed. He ordered the ships still loyal to him. Weapons fired, not at Earth but at the ships that had pulled away. The sky above Earth lit up with energy blasts as Vish turned against Vish. They're fighting each other, Mina whispered in horror. Rand's voice came from the scout ship. We must help those who question. Elder Khan will kill them all. Earth's defense systems activated, but not as planned. Instead of attacking all Vish ships, they targeted only those firing on the rebel vessels. A strange alliance formed in that moment. Earth protecting ships that only hours before had come to destroy it. The battle raged above the planet. The command ship, with High Elder Khan aboard, fired relentlessly at any who defied him. But the formula continued to spread. More captains questioned. More crews refused orders. Then a transmission cut through the chaos. A Vish captain appeared on all channels. I am Captain Sur of the ship Lightseeker. We wish to speak with the humans who saved Commander Yoon. We seek peace. Ji-woo stepped forward without hesitation. This is Dr. Ji-woo Kim of Earth. We welcome all who come in peace. The battlefield paused. More ships joined Captain Sur's call for peace. Soon, over half the fleet had stopped fighting. High Elder Khan's voice shook with rage. You betray your gods. You side with animals. Not animals, Captain Sur replied. Healers, and you are no god, Kayan, just an old one who fears change. In the command center, Ji-woo and her team watched in amazement as the tide turned. The battle wasn't over, but for the first time they allowed themselves to hope. It's working, she whispered to Yoon. They're listening. Yoon's 7 eyes blinked in sequence. Not to gods, he said. To truth. Above them, the sky continued to burn with light as a civilization fought for its soul. And below, the people who had chosen to heal rather than harm watched as their compassion became the most powerful weapon of all. 1 year had passed since the battle above Earth. What began as a day of potential destruction had instead become the beginning of a new age. Ji-woo stood at the window of the new International Space Cooperation Center built where the alien ship had first crashed. The building was a marvel of combined human and Vish technology. Walls that changed color with the mood of the room, doors that recognized thoughts as well as touch, and windows that could zoom in to see stars millions of miles away. Hard to believe it's been a year, Do-hyun said, joining her at the window. He looked different now. Older in some ways, but with a light in his eyes that hadn't been there before. Sometimes it feels like yesterday, Ji-woo replied. Other times it feels like another lifetime. Outside, ships landed and took off from the new spaceport. Some human-built, others Vish, and many created by both species working together. The battle that had raged above Earth had ended not with destruction, but with something no one had expected: understanding. Mina entered the room carrying data tablets. The first joint colony on Mars is ready for more people, she announced. 20 human families and 15 Vish family groups will leave next week. In the year since the battle, much had changed. After more than half the Vish fleet had turned against High Elder Khan, his ship had tried to flee. But Captain Sur and others had captured it. Khan and the loyal elders were now held on a special station orbiting Jupiter, where scientists studied the strange biology that had kept them alive for centuries. The rest of the Vish had formed a new government, one where leaders were chosen for their wisdom, not their age. Captain Sur had become the first elected voice working closely with Earth's United Council. Yoon's shuttle is entering the atmosphere, Hyuk called from the control center. Right on schedule. Ji-woo smiled. Yoon had become Earth's ambassador to the Vish homeworld, traveling between the planets to build stronger connections. Today he was returning for an important ceremony. How many ships are coming for the anniversary? Do-hyun asked. 53, Mina replied. representatives from every major Vish family group and 16 other species from their alliance. This was perhaps the most surprising discovery after the battle. The Vish were part of a vast network of intelligent life spread across the galaxy. For centuries, the Elders had controlled what their people knew about other species. They painted humans as dangerous beasts who would destroy the harmony of space. Now, with the Elders gone, the truth was spreading. Stories of how humans had healed their enemies instead of killing them traveled from world to world. And with those stories went the bridge formula, not forced on anyone, but offered to those who wished to try it. Dr. Kim, a young assistant, called from the doorway. "They're ready for you in the main hall." Jiwoo nodded and took a deep breath. She still didn't like speaking to crowds, but today was too important to miss. The main hall was filled with hundreds of people, humans and Vish standing side by side. At the front, a strange object stood covered by a cloth. It was the reason they had gathered today. As Jiwoo made her way to the stage, she saw familiar faces. Hyuk, now General Park, leader of Earth's new Space Defense Force. Tae, who had become a brilliant medical researcher, combining Vish and human knowledge to cure diseases once thought hopeless. Suk, whose engineering skills had helped build ships that could travel faster than anyone thought possible, and many others who had worked together to turn fear into friendship. When she reached the stage, Yoon was waiting. The Vish leader looked, well, his transparent skin healthy and his 7 eyes bright. "Good to see you, old friend," Jiwoo said, embracing him in the human way he had come to appreciate. "And you," Yoon replied in his now perfect human speech. "The homeworld sends its greetings." Together they turned to face the crowd. The room grew quiet. "1 year ago today," Jiwoo began, "we faced what seemed to be the end. Ships filled our skies. Weapons were aimed at our cities. We prepared for war. We came as enemies," Yoon continued, "sent to destroy what we did not understand, our minds closed by centuries of lies. But something remarkable happened," Jiwoo said. "Something neither humans nor Vish expected. We chose a different path." She looked out at the faces watching her, so different from each other, yet now working together in ways no one could have imagined a year before. "When that first ship crashed, I made a choice to heal instead of harm," she continued. "It wasn't a grand plan to save the world. It was simply what I was trained to do, to help those in need." "That simple act changed everything," Yoon said. "It showed us that what we had been told about humans was wrong. It freed us to question, to think, to choose for ourselves." At the back of the hall, the doors opened. Captain Sir entered, followed by representatives from across the galaxy, beings of all shapes and sizes, some walking, some floating, some moving in ways that defied human understanding. All had come to witness this day. "Today we unveil a monument," Jiwoo announced, "not to victory in battle, but to healing across the stars." Together, she and Yoon pulled away the cloth covering the object at the center of the stage. There stood a statue made of a strange, shimmering material that seemed to glow from within. It showed 2 figures, one human, one Vish, with hands outstretched to each other. Between them floated a small object, a bandage. "This monument," Yoon explained, "is made from parts of the ship that crashed here 1 year ago. The ship that came to destroy but instead became the beginning of peace." Captain Zur stepped forward, his voice deep and strong. "On every world in our alliance, a copy of this monument now stands, and with it, these words carved in all our languages. They came to kill us, but we bandaged their wounds. Now even their gods whisper their names." A murmur went through the crowd. The Vish had no word for gods before meeting humans. But, after learning of Earth's many religions and beliefs, they had adopted the term for the elders they once worshipped. "The elders who once called themselves gods now speak your names," Sur continued, looking at Jiwoo, Dohyun, and the others who had first helped the crashed aliens. "They speak them with fear, yes, but also with something new to them, respect." As the ceremony continued, Jiwoo found herself looking not at the important visitors or the beautiful monument, but at the ordinary humans and Vish working together throughout the hall. Scientists sharing notes, children playing games, people who 1 year ago would have been enemies now building a future together. That evening, as the Earth's sun set and ships from across the galaxy lit up the night sky like new stars, Jiwoo stood once more at the window. Yoon joined her, his skin glowing softly in the darkness. "What are you thinking?" he asked. "That the universe is stranger and more wonderful than we ever imagined," she replied. "And that sometimes the strongest weapon is not a gun or a bomb but a bandage." Yoon's 7 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture of deep agreement. "My people have an old saying, the hand that heals holds more power than the hand that strikes. We Wao have similar sayings," Jiwoo said with a smile. "Maybe we weren't so different after all." Above them, ships from a dozen worlds prepared to return to the stars, each carrying stories of the humans who healed their enemies. And across the galaxy, on worlds humans had not yet visited, new words entered ancient languages: mercy, compassion, healing. Even the former gods, the elders in their distant prison, whispered human names in the dark. Names of those who had shown the greatest power of all, the power to turn enemies into friends, hatred into hope, and an ending into a beginning.